It was raining the night she found out her ex was getting married. Not the soft kind of rain that whispers comfort against glass, but the hard, unrelenting kind that mirrored the storm raging inside her chest. Mia sat in her small apartment staring at the glowing invitation card in her trembling hands. The golden letters shimmered mockingly. You are cordially invited to celebrate the wedding of Daniel Carter and Lily Evans. Daniel, her first love, the man she thought she'd grow old with. Lily, her former best friend. Together, they were a picture of betrayal wrapped in lace and champagne. Mia wanted to tear the card apart. She wanted to scream, cry, forget. But most of all, she wanted to show them that she was fine, that she had moved on, even if her heart hadn't. And that's when the idea struck her. A foolish, desperate idea born from pain. She needed a date, not just anyone. Someone so perfect, so confident, so untouchable that Daniel would realize what he lost the moment she walked through those doors. But who could she possibly ask? If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected connections, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe so you never miss another story like this one. The next morning, Mia woke up with a pounding headache from crying herself to sleep. She dragged herself to her job at the coffee shop downtown, where she worked part-time while finishing her design degree. It was an ordinary morning filled with the smell of roasted beans, chatter, and the soft hum of espresso machines, until he walked in. Adrian King, the Adrian King, CEO of King Enterprises, the youngest self-made millionaire in the city, known for his cold, calculated brilliance and intimidating presence. He was a regular, though he rarely spoke more than a polite thank you. Mia knew him only as the tall man with steel-gray eyes who always ordered a black coffee and worked silently in the corner. But today, as she fumbled with his change, her mind was still lost in thoughts of the wedding. The invitation peeked out of her apron pocket like a cruel reminder. Adrian's gaze caught it, his eyes flickering briefly before returning to her face. "Big event?" he asked casually, and his deep voice startled her. Flustered, Mia laughed nervously and muttered something about an old friend's wedding. Adrian simply nodded, but something in her tone seemed to catch his attention. He studied her for a moment longer than usual, then walked away without another word. She thought that was the end of it, until 2 days later. The day before the wedding, Mia sat at a park bench, staring blankly at the city skyline. She had no plan, no courage, and no one to turn to. That's when a black car stopped in front of her, and Adrian King stepped out dressed in an immaculate suit. "You look like someone who's fighting a war she didn't sign up for," he said quietly, sitting beside her. She blinked in confusion, unable to understand why he was there. He explained that he'd overheard her conversation with a coworker earlier that day, something about not wanting to go alone to her ex's wedding. Mia felt her face burn with embarrassment. She tried to brush it off, but Adrian's calm voice stopped her. "What if I helped you?" he said. "Just one day. I can pretend to be your date." For a long moment, she thought he was joking, but his expression was serious, his tone sincere. He didn't owe her anything. He barely knew her. And yet something in his eyes told her that he understood what it felt like to be broken, to want to prove your worth in front of the people who doubted you. With a hesitant nod, Mia whispered, "Okay, just one day." The wedding day arrived like a nightmare wrapped in sunlight. Mia stood before her mirror, wearing a soft silver gown that shimmered like moonlight. It was the most beautiful she had ever felt, and the most terrified. She kept reminding herself that this was just pretend, that Adrian was doing her a favor, nothing more. But when he arrived to pick her up, her breath caught in her throat. He looked devastatingly handsome in a tailored black suit, the kind that turned heads effortlessly. When their eyes met, Adrian gave her a reassuring smile. "You look stunning," he said, and though it was just 2 simple words, they settled deep in her chest like a spark of warmth she hadn't felt in months. At the venue, heads turned the moment they entered. The whispers were immediate. Mia could almost feel Daniel's gaze burning from across the hall. Lily, dressed in a cloud of lace, blinked in disbelief. Daniel's expression faltered when Adrian placed a gentle hand on Mia's back, guiding her with quiet confidence. Every movement of his was effortless, yet full of purpose, as though he'd been made for this role. Through dinner, through the endless stream of curious stares, Adrian stayed by her side. He laughed at her jokes, filled her glass, brushed a stray hair from her face like a man utterly captivated by her. It was all an act, and yet somewhere between the laughter and the slow dance under glittering chandeliers, the lines between pretense and reality began to blur. When Daniel finally approached them, his voice was uncertain. "Mia, I didn't know you'd be here." Mia forced a smile, her heart pounding. "Why wouldn't I be? You invited me, remember?" Daniel's gaze flicked to Adrian. "And this is Adrian King," Adrian interrupted smoothly, extending his hand with a polite smile that carried just enough power to make Daniel hesitate before shaking it. "Mia's boyfriend." The word hung in the air like music. Mia's cheeks flushed, but Adrian's expression never wavered. Daniel's jaw tightened. He tried to hide it, but the sting was clear in his eyes. "I see," he murmured, glancing at Mia. "Well, I'm glad you found someone." But as he turned away, Mia felt something shift inside her. The satisfaction she expected wasn't there. Instead, there was a hollow ache, a realization that no matter how much she wanted to rewrite the past, some things were better left behind. Later that night, Mia slipped out onto the terrace to catch her breath. The stars above blurred with tears she didn't know were falling. Adrian followed quietly, standing beside her without speaking. For a while, they just stood there, the distant hum of music drifting through the open doors. Finally, he said softly, "You don't need to prove your worth to anyone who couldn't see it the first time." His words broke something open inside her. The walls she'd built, the armor of indifference, the mask of confidence, all of it crumbled. "I just wanted to feel like I mattered," she whispered. "Like I wasn't replaceable." Adrian's voice was steady. "You were never replaceable, Mia. You were just misplaced in the wrong story with the wrong person." Tears spilled freely now. Adrian reached out, brushing one away with his thumb. His touch was gentle, grounding. In that moment, it wasn't about pretending anymore. It was about two broken people who had accidentally found a reason to heal. When the night ended, Adrian drove her home. Neither spoke much, but the silence was comfortable this time. As she turned to thank him, he smiled faintly. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "But maybe next time, don't wait for someone else to remind you how incredible you are." Then he left, disappearing into the night like a dream she wasn't sure had been real. The following days felt strangely quiet. The pain of seeing Daniel and Lily together faded faster than she expected. Maybe because Adrian's words echoed in her mind every time doubt tried to creep back in. She threw herself into her work, designing, sketching, creating. Slowly, confidence bloomed again, this time not built on someone else's validation, but on her own rediscovery of strength. Weeks passed before she saw Adrian again. It was at a charity gala her company had sponsored. When their eyes met across the crowded hall, it felt like the universe was giving her a second chance. Not to pretend, but to be honest. She approached him, her heart pounding, but this time there was no fear, no mask. "You once pretended to be my date," she said with a small smile. "What if I asked you to be my real one this time?" Adrian's smile was slow, genuine. "I was hoping you'd say that." And just like that, the story that began as an act turned into something real. A connection neither of them had expected, born from pain, but built on healing. In the months that followed, Mia's life changed in ways she could never have imagined. Her design work caught the attention of investors. She opened her own small studio, and Adrian became not just her supporter, but her partner in every sense. Together they built something beautiful, not perfect, but honest. Every success, every challenge, they faced side by side. Sometimes, when she looked back on that night, the rain, the heartbreak, the desperate request, she realized it had all led her exactly where she was meant to be. Maybe life had a way of taking everything from you, just to return something better. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in love after pain, And subscribe for more stories that remind us we're never too broken to begin again. Before we end, I'd love to hear from you. What did this story make you feel? Comment below and tell me your favorite moment or what part of Mia's journey you related to most. Because sometimes, it's not the fairy tale beginnings that matter. It's the courage to start over when the ending falls apart. And that night, when Mia whispered, "Can you pretend to be my date for one day?" neither of them knew that one simple act of kindness would change their lives forever.